Good evening.
Good evening. Right, okay. So, can you all hear me okay? Thank you so much for joining the call this evening, ladies. For those that don't know me, I'm Zoe, and I've been through the menopause, so I'm out the other side just about. Um, and I've been hosting these monthly calls now on and off for a couple of years. So, and as ever, I've always invite two guest speakers on the call. So I'm excited to be introducing you to my guest speakers shortly. But I just wanted to touch on one of the symptoms before I hand you over to our guest speakers. So, hot flushes and night sweats during menopause. So, for most of you that are going through the menopause will know that it's a really common symptom. I mean, how many people on this call can say that they've suffered with hot flushes and night sweats? Oh, yes. And it's one of those things you might have one a day or you might have them all day long. It's all dependent on the individual. And it can continue through the night, which, is a night sweat, can cause disturbed sleep, leading to fatigue, mood. It can cause stress and anxiety, and you can also experience your heart beating faster as well. So when having a hot flush, so like having heart palpitations. So why do we have hot flushes? So hot flushes occur due to a decline in our estrogen levels. So once we start our perimenopause journey, which is when our ovaries start their aging process. So basically what happens, this causes the body's thermostat. So this is a part of our brain, the hypothalamus, I can never say that. It's a part of the brain that regulates the body temperature, and it senses that our body's warm, and it starts a chain of events to cool the body down. But we can sort of try and help prevent this. Yes, we can take HRT to steady our estrogen levels. That's obviously one obvious thing. But diet is a massive thing. So, if we stick to anti-inflammatory diet, add in sort of good healthy fats, particularly omega-3, fruits and vegetables. So according to research, high levels of vitamins and minerals, fiber and antioxidants present in fruits and veg can help reduce symptoms. So, and avoiding caffeine, alcohol, we need to reduce, refined sugar, processed food. So just a few sort of tips there for you ladies, because I know most people that I speak to suffer with those. So I just now want to hand over to my first guest speaker. So I'm excited to invite Loma on the call. So Loma is joining us all the way from the UAE. So Loma, did you want to introduce yourself and tell us, what you do and how you help ladies that are going through the menopause?
Sure, Zoe, thank you very much for having me here. For me, it's the middle of the night. Um, and,
Bless you. Thank you.
yeah, you're so welcome. So, yes, maybe just to introduce myself, I am South African, but I moved to the UAE just over 5 years ago. And my horrible menopausal journey started here in the UAE. And initially, I was not really quite aware that I was going through menopause because I had to have a hysterectomy when I was 36. So, luckily at that time, my doctor decided that she was just going to remove my womb where the problem lied, but she left my ovaries. And, at that point in my life, I didn't even ask her any of the questions. I think when you're 36 and you are still, young and you are fit and you are healthy, I don't know. It just seemed to me that, that was the right thing for her to do. And it was her suggestion. And thank God she did, because I speak to so many clients of mine that say, oh, but I had hysterectomy, so I am going to miss menopause. And then I'm so shocked that people think because they had a hysterectomy, it's not going to hit them, because I just think that they never really think further in terms of their estrogen, testosterone, progesterone levels. And so my journey started here in this massive heat. I arrived at the end of August, and left South Africa mid winter, and arrived here in 44, 45 degrees Celsius weather. So initially, when I sort of started feeling bad, I thought it was the heat, but I never put two and two together. And before I knew it, COVID hit, and I was hospitalized quite a few times. And at that point, I was really fit. I was also really thin, and very active. So I literally went from one Saturday morning doing a 40-kilometer mountain bike ride with my husband to the next day being in ER in hospital. And without sounding really judgmental, all the people and doctors that I saw in hospital were males. And they also, there was also a little bit of a communication and a language barrier. So I think that was part of the initial problem. And every time I was hospitalized, because my heart was racing, I couldn't breathe, I had all sorts of very weird symptoms, of which headaches started, and I had never ever had headaches in all my life. So after, I literally was in hospital 17 times. And I think that is why my husband to this day is so supportive of what I went through. But I think many males are not supportive because they don't understand what is going on. But my husband could see the physical pain dilemmas that I was going through. And rather quickly into this journey, the doctors sort of pulled my husband aside and said, "Oh, this is depression and anxiety." And they threw it over the banner of it's COVID, she's so stressed, you just moved countries, etc., etc. And my husband said, "No, it's not. It's definitely not either of those symptoms." But the doctors sort of insisted that there was something wrong with me mentally. And after I don't know how many visit to the hospital, my husband actually said to me, "Listen, every time we get here, once they put you on a drip and you lie here and, whatever, you started feeling better." And only now, when I became a menopause coach and I did all the research, and I read far and wide, and I realized that dehydration was most definitely my biggest problem and concern then. But because you don't pinpoint it, you almost just don't know. So obviously, every time I lied there and they put the saline in and they gave me medication to calm me down, etc., etc., it did do the trick. 4 hours later, I would go home and I would feel fabulous. Yet no one ever thought of testing and looking at my hormones. One of the very last times I was hospitalized, now almost 2 years ago, I was in hospital for 6 days with a massive headache. And they kept on saying, "Oh, it's just a migraine of such," which it wasn't. But I also, for the full 6 days, couldn't stop crying. I cried and cried and cried. And at some point, my husband actually said to me, "But why are you crying? Are you crying because your head hurts, or are you crying because of all the gunk that they are putting into your arm intravenously?" And finally, 6 days in, the doctor sent me home and said, "Oh, well, we don't know what it is. Just take this chemical medication and you will feel better." But when I left his rooms, he said, and the medication that he gave me was obviously rather strong. And he said, "Now, you are only allowed to have 2 of these tablets in a week." And that's when I realized, but how good can this be to your entire body and system if you are only allowed to have 2 a week? So I ended up never taking it. I ended up stopping with all the chemical medication that I was on then. And I realized that good health starts in the gut. So currently what I'm doing here, I live in Ras Al Khaimah, which is just outside of Dubai, one of the other Emirates. I am a menopause coach and I specifically focus on gut health. So Zoe, I'm so happy that you said that all of these horrible symptoms that we have can change because of what you actually put into your mouth. So I am, however, a firm believer that it's not just diet. And when you are menopausal, the last thing you want to do is be on a diet. But it's that ability to be really mindful in terms of what you are eating. And then my coaching program is basically based on 3 steps. And it is the mindful eating so that you know exactly what to put into your mouth, but it's also mindfulness, so that you are just very aware of where you are so that there's no judgment and that it's all about your own intent. Because I think at this point, being menopausal, women are sometimes very critical. In actual fact, just as critical as when we were teenagers. And this is definitely not the point to be critical. Um, People don't understand what you are going through. So if you can just stay focused and mindful, then everything else that you are going through, the brain fog and all of these things will also be able to change. And then the third pillar of what it is that I teach my clients is movement. And I think for everyone that has been active or not throughout their year, it is in the menopausal time that you really have to start moving. And, you are not going to run a marathon. There are obviously women running marathons at our age, but for the regular individual, you are not going to run a marathon. And what I teach my client is that you have to do what moves you. So if it is swimming, swim. If it is walking, walk. If it is still running, run. But be very conscious of how you are doing this. Because at this point, and especially in menopause, we don't want to push our bodies into extremes because then we see a buildup of cortisol, and all of a sudden you see that people are actually gaining weight, especially over the sort of abdominal area. So if you do what moves you, and you can try and add a little bit of variety, especially in terms of strength training. And with that also, I don't mean get a gym contract and you are going to become very sort of muscular. But if you can add strength training to your regime, then you'll also see major benefits. Because at this point, and especially because of our estrogen decline, we see that muscle mass is on a massive decrease. And that is why you look at yourself in the mirror and you think, what happened? What just happened? So strength training is fantastic. It will help you with strength. It will help you with body composition changes that we all are going through when we are going through menopause. It will help us to build our bone density because osteoporosis is one of the critical things that we go through. And in actual fact, if you look at the research on osteoporosis, 1 out of every 5 women will have a fracture at some point, where it is only 1 in every 5 men. So if you are able to add this movement, the strength training, you will be able to build your bone density. You are going to have impact in terms of your metabolism. And if you are doing all of this, there is going to be hormonal balance as well. And that is what we are craving. The reason why we are where we are is because of the imbalances that we are facing. And because of all these imbalances, whether it is in your gut or whether it is in your muscle mass, is what is causing us to be sleep deprived. It's what is causing us to have no energy. Is what is causing us. Yes, very good. You go, Zoe, you
I've
go.
got my weights at home and I do it 3 times a week. I've got 3 different weights.
Very good. And if you even if you don't have weights, oh my gosh, that's a big one. Yeah. So, but if we can do all of this, anxiety would change, depression would change, weight would change. So just back to my mindful eating. I always start my clients off with 3 things. And if you are able to add these 3 things to your diet, you will finally see a change in gut health. And then all the things that I just listed will become better. Hot flushes especially. But sleep deprivation and the fact that we always have this plateau of energy and it either spikes or there's nothing. These can all change. And it's three very, very easy ingredients that you can add to your diet on a daily basis. And the first one is an apple. So that old saying is, an apple a day keeps the doctor away is actually really true. And if you could just add an apple a day and you can eat the skin, sometimes if you are not allergic, even the seeds are very good for you. So it's not just the fiber, it's everything else that apples contain that can sort your gut. And the second thing is full fat yogurt. Now, if you do a study and if you just go to any supermarket and you stand in front of the fridge and you look at the amount of yogurts out there, just be very careful of not choosing the ones that are loaded with sugar. So if you can do plain full fat yogurt, it is a great thing to add to your diet. And the nice thing about full fat and plain, especially organic, if you are able to find that, is that you can spice it up the way you want to every day. You can add honey, you can add different fruits, you can add all your seeds, you can add cinnamon. So it doesn't have to be yucky in taste. And it doesn't have to be boring because it doesn't have to be the same thing daily. And yogurt or kefir for your gut is absolutely fantastic. And in fact, they have also found, and there's lots of studies if you want to do a little more reading about that, that if you eat between 150 and 200 milligrams, milliliters of yogurt daily, it also has massive impact in cardiovascular health. And so, with the decline of estrogen, we see that there's all sorts of ongoing problems for women with cardiovascular health. So eat your yogurt and not only sort your gut, but also be very, sort of in tuned and focused on what you can do for the rest of the systems in the body. And then the last thing that I add, and you can add this to your yogurt, and you can actually add your apple as well, but is flaxseed. And flaxseed is such a cheap product that you can buy, and you can add it to a smoothie or to whatever it is. And I buy organic flaxseed. I ground it up myself because that is the only way in which your body can really uptake. And one, it's nutritious. Two, it's giving you the extra omegas that you were talking about. It's giving you all that extra fiber. But the other great thing about flaxseed is that it's got a product inside that is mimicking the work of estrogen. And so if you are able to take 2 heap spoons of the flaxseed powder, you are doing your gut a tremendous favor. And you will find that over a time period, your estrogen levels almost feels like that is balancing out. And when that happens, again, you are not going to be that bloated. You are not going to feel the horrible symptoms of hot flushes. You are going to have more oil in your system, so which can be great for the very dry skin, the very dry hair. So on a multifaceted level, these three things are fantastic for you. And I often say to people, diet is a word, and I think especially for women that are overweight, and 60% of the current menopausal women are seeing not to just be overweight, but to be obese. So if you hear that and if you think about that, you really have to be kind to yourself. And it's not diet and stop and I'm not going to eat and I'm going to starve myself. What you think about every time you put something in your mouth is this moving me forward to reach my goals and to feel better? Or if I eat this burger or this cake or this whatever, is this actually steering me backwards where I am never going to reach my health goals? And Am I saying that you are never allowed to have a cookie or a cake or a burger? Absolutely not. If you are able to follow the 80-20 principle and you are doing the good things most of the time, then having that cookie or biscuit or whatever it is wouldn't harm your body whatsoever. And if your gut is healthy, then whatever you put in your mouth is going to be something that you are able to use in your cells, in the rest of your body, and the nutritious value is going to be able to be uptaken. Because with a poor gut health, doesn't matter what you put in your mouth, your body would not be able to use the nutritious value. And usually, what we then see is leaky gut, all the other IBS symptoms, Crohn's disease, all of these sorts of things. And then you are really, although you are eating, you are in actual fact starving yourself. So, so there are many, many helpful things, but I hope if I just made one thing clear is that if you add simple things to your diet that are nutrient dense and that are colorful and vibrant, and here variety is king, you are able to heal your own gut without any extra prebiotics, probiotics, medication, because it really is what we eat.
Totally agree. Thank you so much for that, Loma. That was really informative, I think, just about how I think a lot of us forget that when we hit menopause, that, taking care of ourselves is like absolutely key. And I think that actually brings me to my next guest, Caroline. So Caroline, um, she's got an amazing story to share with us. So Caroline, did you want to tell us how you were feeling a couple of years ago and where you were with your health and how you are now?
I will do. Thanks, Zoe. So just to give you a little bit of background, I'm a liver and kidney transplant patient, which I had my liver and kidney 27 years ago now. And so obviously I was really, really poorly. And you don't sort of, when you've been through something like that, you don't sort of think about later in life and how your health's going to be and continue to be. And I started to suffer probably, I would think, 3 years ago with the hot flushes, and I started to become quite an irritable person, which anybody who knows me will tell you I'm quite a jovial person. I'm not someone who bites people's heads off and things like that. So I started with like hot flushes and irritability, and I went to the doctors initially, and they did the usual hormone blood tests and discovered my hormone blood tests were normal. So I was a little bit fobbed off, to be honest. I don't like slating doctors because they've saved my life at the end of the day. But yeah, so that they told me I couldn't be going through the menopause. I'm 48 now, but back then I was like 45. And they said, "Oh, you're a little bit young. It's probably not the menopause." And I just sort of tried to continue with life. And then I started getting the hot flushes to go with it, the brain fog, and just things just weren't making sense. And I can't remember how I came across you, Zoe. It must have been, I'm one of them people, I tend to Google things or Facebook things, and I must have come across you on Facebook.
You must have
And
come
we got
across my
chatting, didn't
group.
we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got chatting, didn't we? And you recommended the Amigas to me, which are fantastic, by the way. But initially, I was really skeptical because I was told when I had this transplant that you can't take anything, any supplements that are going to or could possibly increase your immune system. So I spoke to you, and then obviously I went off and spoke to my transplant team, and they said, "Well, take them if you want to take them, and then in a month's time, come and get your bloods done and see what they say. And if your bloods are still all right, then you can continue to take them." It was kind of a bit of a they didn't know and I didn't know how it would work. So I did that, and thankfully, touch wood, my transplant's been absolutely fine on them. But I noticed within, it must have been a matter of maybe 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I wasn't having the night sweats anymore, and that was my biggest problem. I know everybody has different things with the menopause, but mine was night sweats. I would wake up in the morning, the bed would be soaked, and it was just embarrassing when you lay next to your partner and you wake up the next day and you have to change the sheets. It's not good, is it? So I noticed within 2 or 3 weeks that they had stopped, and I wasn't as grumpy as I was, to be fair. My irritability had calmed down a lot. So obviously I was happy and I continued taking them. And then I started to notice, it was probably 2-3 months later, the hot flushes had stopped, which was even better. And the brain fog was getting better. The problem with the brain fog is, I've forgotten to tell you, I also have ME and fibromyalgia, which cause a whole host of symptoms that can be associated with lots of other conditions. So like menopause symptoms can be similar to ME and fibromyalgia symptoms. So like the body aches and pains, the fatigue, the brain fog, they're all, do you know what I mean? They can all be connected. So I started to notice, probably, I think I was 2 or 3 months in again, and I woke up one morning and I was like, I'm not in any pain anymore. You know, I'm so used to waking up, and that saying of, if I wake up and nothing hurts, then I think there's something wrong with me. Well, that was me. And I woke up and I was like, I'm not in pain anymore. So that was another sort of effect it had on me. So yeah, and I started to, obviously I love the products, and I then started to look at other ways I could sort of improve my health and things like that. So I was renowned when I worked. Well, I still do work, but when I was at work, I was renowned for being off sick probably every other month. And my sort of nickname at work was sick note, because I was always off. So I spoke to Zoe again, and Zoe put me onto the fruit and veg capsules, which are really good for your immune system. And again, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to take them because there's a risk they can boost your immune system. So we went through the rigmarole of transplant team, can I take them? Take them for a month, see how you get on. So I did that, and touch wood, they've been absolutely fine. And within 3 years, I'd had one period of sickness at work after taking them. So they really worked. I'm trying not to waffle, sorry. And then I realised over the menopause, and I take steroids for my transplant, I started to pile a lot of weight on. So when you have ME and fibromyalgia, you tend to just pretty much work and stay in bed. So I didn't do any exercise, and the weight just piled on and piled on. And before I knew it, yeah, I was probably obese, I would say. So I spoke to Zoe again, and Zoe put me onto the shakes. And I still take them to this day. So I've been taking them for a year. And in a year, I have probably lost 2.5 stone, if not more. And I love the lifestyle. So before this, I wasn't eating any breakfast. I was just getting up, having my coffee, and then about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I was reaching for anything I could get out of the cupboards to eat. Hence, I put the 2.5 stone on. So yeah, so I don't really know how much more to tell you. I'm quite a complicated case because not everything is straightforward. I've started on the berry capsules in the last probably 6 months because the doctors are not sure if it was menopause related or vitamin B12 related, but I had my hair all sort of snapped and became really bad condition. I've always had bad nails because when you're as poorly as I was waiting for a transplant, your nails they're horrendous. So I started on the berry capsules, and touch wood again, my hair is longer, stronger, so much better. My nails are now my own, just with a little bit of nail polish on it. So yeah, I absolutely love the product. Yeah.
And also just to sort of reiterate, so the products that Caroline's talking about, and I just want to go back to what Loma was saying, how important it is to what we put in our mouth every day. So these products are whole food products. So they're the equivalent of 30 varieties of fruit, veg, and berries what Caroline's getting in her diet every single day. So, you know, I was reading actually that years and years ago, when we used to eat an orange, it had so many vitamins in it and it was so good for you. But because of the way that food is farmed these days, we're lucky if we get an ounce of good vitamins and nutrients from the food. So we have to eat so well to get so much nutrition into our bodies every day. And these products that I recommended to Caroline that I also take, they are the equivalent of 30 fruits and veggies. So what you were saying earlier, Loma, about the apple, it's so important to eat the core, the pips, the skin. That's exactly what goes into these products. So what they do is they grow their own products. So there's a farm just for apples, there's a farm just for pineapples, there's a farm just for berries. There's, you know, that we have farms where we grow our own fruit and veg, and then they're picked at their exact ripeness. The products are then they dehydrate them, so they take the water and the sugar out, and all of the great nutrients are encapsulated into a capsule. And so you don't really need vitamins because you're getting all your vitamins from these amazingly ripe fruits, vegetables, and berries. And the omegas that Caroline was talking about, they include omegas 3, 7, and 9, but they also include, and they're vegan, so they're not fishy. So we go straight to the source. So we go straight to the algae that the fish feed on. And again, there's a lot less contamination because of that, because they're grown in really good conditions. So they're not from the sea where there can be lots of contamination. There's also zinc in there, vegan vitamin D, and phytonutrients. So there's lutein and lycopene is sourced from tomatoes, which is again is a really good phytonutrient. If you kind of understand you know, that level of nutrition, then you would agree that it's you know, there's a lot of nutrition in there. And you know, like Caroline, for me, I've eliminated a lot of my symptoms through taking these products, just through adding, I suppose really it's adding in, bridging what you're not getting in your diet every single day, because yes, we try and eat healthily every day and that's not always possible. Like the 80-20 rule, Loma, is, you know, is obviously really good, but by taking these every day, you're getting really good nutrition into your body. And I mean, Caroline is such a great testimonial, because when I first met Caroline, you know, she, apart from working and sleeping, she didn't really have a life. And now she has a life. She works, she sleeps, but she parties. She, you know, she has days out. She enjoys days out with her partner. And she would struggle to do that when I started talking to her. What was it, 3 years ago now, Caroline?
It's 2 years ago, well, over 2 years ago, yeah. But like you say, I was just sleeping and working. I wasn't doing anything else.
And that's a bit sad, really, isn't it, to think that
Yeah.
that's your life, you know?
I
So if
almost want to
anybody's got any
say,
questions, then, you know, for
yeah.
anybody, then please fire away.
I almost want to say that there's lots of menopausal women that feel, although Caroline, you went through hell and back with a transplant, but I think lots of menopausal women think, you know, oh, this is it. I'm moving from the couch to the bed and I'm always in pain. So when they do wake up in the morning and there's no pain, they're like, oh, you know, something's wrong with me. So I really think that if you are able to restore and heal your gut, then all the supplements that you are talking about can be even better, because then the nutritious intake would be even higher. So for somebody with, say, leaky gut or really, really poor gut health, even the best of supplements is not going to help them optimally. It will help, but not optimally, because their gut just won't be able to really uptake it. So yes, we should strive for better gut health, because then everything else will fall into place, and it's all because of the balance.
Definitely, yeah. And we, you know, and as part of what we do as well, you know, like we have groups where we've got access to healthy eating plans, and we have detoxes. We have regular 10-day detoxes, because having a detox for your body regularly is really good. Again, it's resetting your gut, and it's also teaching your brain, you know, that we need to sort of get into it. Like you say, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. It's not a diet.
Absolutely.
It's just something that we do to keep ourselves healthy, and, you know, make sure we're getting packed nutrition. And I feel like these products just really bridge that, you know, on a daily basis. So we've literally, sorry ladies, we've got just over a minute left. So if anybody has got any more questions, because I think, Dowie, did you raise your hand? Did you
Yes, I
want to?
did.
Yeah.
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
So thanks, Zoe, for inviting me to this. It's been really beneficial. And thanks, Lomas. I think my first question goes to Lomas, in terms of the apple. So should it be the green apple or is any apple?
Green apples are better, but it can be any apple. And I think, you know, depending on where you live and what you are able to find, eat your apple.
Thank you. So my other question is for you, Zoe, in terms of these products that Caroline was talking about. I was just wondering, how can we get them? How can we get hold of them, or details or
I can
something?
message you, because
Okay,
yeah,
thank
because
you.
you're from my work, aren't you? So I'll send you a message, and because the call's going to run out soon, but I'll send you a message and
Fabulous.
we'll
Thank
chat.
you. Thank you.
Okay. But thank you so much to my guest speakers for coming on. I really appreciate your time, Loma, because I know it's really late there. Thank you,
All good.
Caroline. It's been a wonderful call tonight. And we love chatting all menopause. It's great. I love it. So enjoy the
Thank you
rest of
so
your
much.
evening. Thank you.
Thank you,
Take
Bye,
ladies.
care.
Zoe.
Thank
Bye.
you.